Welcome to The Explainer. Listen, today we're diving into a place that is honestly as fascinating as it is absolutely terrifying. I want you to imagine a sprawling, magnificent fortress tucked away deep within the rugged Aravalli Hills of Rajasthan, India. By day, it's this breathtaking architectural marvel, just begging to be explored. But there's a catch, a very specific, very chilling rule associated with it. Human presence is strictly forbidden after sunset. We're talking about Bhangarh Fort. It's widely known as one of the most mysterious and haunting places in all of India. So, what's the deal? Is it truly haunted? Or is this just a canvas for centuries of fear and some really tragic history? Let's get into it and find out. There is this local piece of lore that carries a serious warning. It says, those who went inside thinking it was just a rumor never returned the same. You see, once the sun dips below the horizon, the empty streets of this ruined fort supposedly come completely alive. People talk about whispers echoing through broken, empty temples, unseen footsteps crunching on the gravel right behind you, and this heavy, oppressive atmosphere that just settles over the whole area. It's totally cinematic, right? But before we get totally swept away by the ghost stories, we really need to understand what this place actually was before it became this deserted ruin. Part 1. The Forbidden Fort and a Prosperous Past. Okay, so what's truly mind-blowing here is the sheer scale of what used to exist. Bhangarh sits in the Alwar district of Rajasthan, tucked right between Jaipur and Alwar, and it's super close to the Sariska Tiger Reserve. If you go today, you basically just see crumbling stone. But historically, this was a thriving, insanely prosperous town. It was built specifically for King Madho Singh of Amer, and thousands of people actually lived here. It was this massive hub of commerce. You had bustling markets, grand mansions for the wealthy elite, gorgeous temples, and this towering royal palace looking over the whole thing. It was literally a city bursting with life, merchants, and royal splendor. So you have to ask, how does a city of thousands just become completely abandoned?
That brings us to part 2, the 2 deadly curses.
The folklore gives us 2 reasons for the city's doom, starting with a guy named Saidu Baba Balunath. He was a local ascetic. When the king wanted to build the fort and the city in this specific spot, he actually went to the Sadhu for permission. The Sadhu agreed, but he had one very strict condition. He said, the grand palace's shadow must never, ever fall upon his humble hut. If it did, he warned that the entire city would be destroyed. Now, at first, the king respected this. He kept the palace low. But as generations went on, the royals got a bit arrogant. They kept adding to the palace, making it taller and taller. And well, eventually, the inevitable happened. The sun set, and the long shadow of the new palace additions crept right across the ground and completely eclipsed the Sadhu's hut. The legend says the Sadhu was absolutely furious, and he cursed the city to never be inhabited again. This was the first domino to fall. But the tragedy actually deepens with an even more intense legend, and this one is straight out of a thriller movie. This is the most famous story associated with Bhangarh. It revolves around Princess Ratnavati, who was known for being incredibly beautiful and intelligent, and a practitioner of dark magic named Tantric Singhiya. The Tantric was completely obsessed with the princess and decided he had to possess her. One day, he spots the princess's maid in the bustling market buying perfume. Seeing his chance, the Tantric slips a dark, hypnotic curse into the perfume bottle. The plan was that the second the princess applied it, she'd fall totally under his control. But Princess Ratnavati was clever. She completely saw through his dark magic trick. In a show of defiance, she took the cursed perfume and smashed it onto a massive boulder nearby. The magic ended up taking effect on the stone itself, which caused this giant boulder to violently roll right toward the Tantric, ultimately crushing him.
But the Tantric didn't go quietly. As he was drawing his literal final breath under the crushing weight of this massive stone, he screamed out a terrifying final curse upon the entire kingdom. He said, Bhangarh will be destroyed, and the souls of those who live here will wander forever.
And according to the lore, that was it. Everything fell apart so rapidly after this. You start with this golden era of prosperity under the king. Then comes the arrogance of the growing palace casting its shadow. That triggers the twin curses of Balunath and the Tantric. And honestly, shortly after the Tantric's death, the historical record and the local legend kind of blur together into chaos. Bhangarh was subjected to a brutal military invasion. We're talking total war, immense destruction, and mass death sweeping through the once great city. It's actually said that Princess Ratnavati herself died in the carnage. After this brutal war, the few survivors that were left just fled. The city spiraled into complete and total abandonment. It's wild to think about, but a once great city basically became a ghost town practically overnight.
Let's look at part 3, Echoes in the Ruins. Fast forward to today, the locals living in the villages right outside the ruins firmly believe those curses are still active. They swear by it. People report that after sunset, you can hear the distinct, echoing sound of footsteps walking down streets that have literally been empty for centuries. They claim to hear bells ringing from temples that don't have any idols or priests anymore. But the most common thing? Visitors constantly report this intense, unnerving feeling of being watched or followed by some invisible presence. The fear is palpable, and for the people who experience it, it's very, very real. And this reputation is so massive, so pervasive, that the government actually stepped in. The Archaeological Survey of India, the ASI, placed a strict official ban on anyone entering the fort premises before sunrise or after sunset. Now, officially, the ASI says this ban is purely practical. It's about safety. The fort is this massive, crumbling ruin with zero electricity or lighting, right? Navigating it in the pitch black is a huge risk for accidents or falls. Plus, remember it borders a tiger reserve? Yeah, wild animals definitely roam those ruins at night. But you can guess what the locals and the tourists think. For them, this government ban just totally validates the paranormal legends. So we're left with this fascinating situation. We've got ancient curses, endless reports of paranormal activity, and a literal government ban on being there at night. But what is the actual truth behind the sheer terror people feel when they step foot in Bhangarh? Part 4. The Science of Fear. Well, scientists think they have an answer, and it's something called infrasound. This is so cool. These are very low-frequency sound waves. They're actually below the threshold of human hearing, meaning you can't hear them, but your body can physically feel them. Scientists have noted that certain environments can naturally generate infrasound. Think about the layout of Bhangarh for a second. It's this massive complex of old, crumbling ruins, enclosed stone structures, and winding corridors, all nestled in a really hilly landscape. When specific wind patterns blow through that kind of architecture, it can literally act like a giant instrument, creating infrasound waves. And here's the kicker. When human beings are exposed to infrasound, it actually induces intense feelings of inexplicable dread, anxiety, sorrow, and get this, even visual or auditory hallucinations. So it kind of leaves us with two totally distinct ways of looking at Bhangarh. On one side, you have the legend, restless spirits of a doomed kingdom, ancient curses from sadhus and tantrics, and the heavy, lingering weight of dark magic. On the other side, you have the science, the very real physical phenomenon of infrasound, environmental factors like wind and isolation, and let's not forget psychological paranoia. Think about it. When you know you're walking into a place that is famous for being haunted, your brain already expects to be scared, right? It practically manufactures the fear for you. It's vital to note here that to date, there is absolutely no solid scientific proof that ghosts exist anywhere, let alone in Bhangarh. That creepy, invisible presence people swear they feel, it might just be low-frequency wind patterns interacting with human psychology. Part 5. Legend or Reality.
Regardless of what you believe, the impact is undeniable. You will frequently see Bhangarh ranked in the top 1 to 3 most haunted places in India across basically all media reports and travel lists. It has firmly cemented its status as one of the most discussed haunted heritage sites in all of Asia, drawing in huge crowds of paranormal tourists from all over the globe. Now, it's important to clarify, as our sources point out, there isn't some official global haunting index that objectively ranks these things, but its cultural footprint as a site of terror, it is massive. It's undeniably a premier location for dark tourism on the continent. Now, just a quick reality check as we wrap up this explainer. It's super important to remember that these vivid tales, the crushed tantrics, the doomed princesses, these are deeply rooted in local folklore. While the war and the subsequent abandonment are historically likely, the magical elements, they have very limited historical evidence. But our goal here isn't to tell you what to believe. It's to help you understand that fascinating intersection of history, in architecture, and human belief. We wanted to explore exactly how a magnificent 16th century city transforms into a mythic landscape of fear. So, I want to leave you with the ultimate question. We've looked at the prosperous history, we've gone through the tragic legends, and we've unpacked the scientific explanations involving infrasound and our own psychology. But if you ever actually find yourself in Rajasthan, standing right there before the ancient stone gates of this ruined city, just as the sun begins to dip below the Aravalli Hills, Would you dare enter Bhangarh Fort after sunset? Is it really just the wind and human paranoia playing tricks on your mind? Or is there truly something else wandering those empty, forgotten streets? Thanks so much for joining us on this explainer, and hey, keep questioning the world around you.